is to draw the attention of my colleagues, and by extension, Nigerians, to the continuous rise in the recurrent expenditure and debt servicing. But that of debt servicing is even understandable, because if you borrow, you have to service the debt anyway. But when you borrow to spend on recurrent, and this money is going to less than 5% or even 1%, because if you put the total number of Nigerian workers or public servants, it's not up to 5%. And this budget is supposed to be for Nigeria. Right now, the current expenditure is standing at about 43% by the presentation that and what I do, what you call a powerful presentation, is still what I want to call the attention of the media, because they are the voice of people. I told my colleagues that the matter of concern is the current expenditure of Nigeria. In 2018, that was when the government made a pronouncement that workers should no longer be deployed, no new recruitment. Isn't it? And why is recurrent expenditure? What is recurrent expenditure? Recurrent expenditure is the money you pay every year, but based on the government activities. The more workers you have, the more will be the recurrent expenditure. The less workers you have, the less should be the recurrent expenditure. Now, in Nigeria, from that 2018, more employment. After 2018, I think it was in 2020 that we witnessed COVID, the COVID, is it? Okay, in 2020, in COVID, even I think up to now, the level 12 downward are working from home. And technology has improved work now. You don't have to go to the office. Most of them are working on Zoom. You exchange your notes and file and all that on the internet. The cost of running government should go down. But look at this. In 2018, the recurrent expenditure was 3.5 trillion. And I was very considerate of the fact that it was around that time that the government started implementing the minimum wage. But that was what raised the recurrent expenditure of the government to 3.5 trillion. But in 2019, instead of this to either go down or be stable, it went up to 4.7 trillion. In 2020, the recurrent expenditure still raised not only to 2020, it was 4.8 trillion. Still, some billions over the 2019 figure. But, and we say that that was the time we witnessed COVID up to 2021, isn't it? But the expenditure in 2021, instead of it going down, it went up to 5.9 trillion. 5.9 trillion. And then in 2022, that is this year, the overhead recurrent expenditure, go and check it, is 6.9 trillion. And guess what? That is guess what? In 2023 now, 8.3 trillion. So, and what happens is when they bring the budget now, they say, oh, overhead is workers' salary, that you should not touch it. So we stayed away, we always stay away from it. But at this time I say, my colleagues should look at this. I'm not saying that we should not expeditiously pass the budget. But what I'm even going to call for by way of motion is that this really rise in current expenditure should be investigated. You hear people taking 100 trillion, billion, and then you hear all this. The most surprising one is, the introduction of TSA, GIFMIS, and IPPS is supposed to control this cost. But instead, Nigerians. So I suspect we have more yahoo-yahoo people in the government than the ones you find in the hotels. If not, what justification do you have for the increase in this cost? So that was my contribution on the floor. And also, I want to state that I also called my attention to my colleagues that in this year's budget of 20.51, yes, is the total amount of capital is 5 trillion. So what is 5 to what is the percentage of 5 trillion to 20.7? Less than 30%. In the country where you are trying to service 200 million, you are only spending 25 or less than 30%. And the most surprising, if you look at, I think I have it here, it also is in the reverse. As I said, the recurrent expenditure is 8.2 trillion. The debt service, 6.6 trillion. Then the capital is 5 trillion. Reverse is supposed to be. That is to say, the capital is supposed to take the higher percentage share of the budget. But here you are. And I'm sure that the president is not really aware of all these things that happen. So what they do is that they bring these voluminous things and they say GDP is this, DGG is that, DBD, they just confuse them. and then you sign it off. And then when it comes to the National Assembly here, they say, let us not say that this is West. We have to expeditiously pass the
same page.
In fact, as you are at the gallery, you could see the argument I had with the Senator. I'm here for the president. And this budget is very important. They are saying, don't just talk 3 minutes, 3 minutes. I mean, we are not yet serious. In fact, if it is going to anything worth doing, whatsoever, when the president did not have time or cannot even have time to look at the budget, ask questions, that responsibility falls squarely and constitutionally on the National Assembly. Now we are saying that we should pass the budget latest December. And then you have all this going on. And Nigerians don't see it. And Nigerians will pay for it. It's not only paying for it. What is more painful is that we have to borrow in order, they say, to provide these services. If we are to borrow to do infrastructural development, all these things that we are talking about, that the government, the argument is that we have to borrow to build infrastructure. If we are borrowing to put in for infrastructure, so finally, if you really have to borrow, then why don't you borrow from the workers? You manage, then we pay you later, when during the rainy days. In fact, at one time, what do you call it, Odoji was paid to workers when we had money, isn't it? But we are going to borrow in order to service this debt. It is our responsibility to make sure that every kobo we spend in this year's budget is accounted for. And I think majority of my colleagues, as you can see, agreed with me because they were wondering why is this man getting these figures. I just took my time to wonder why are we spending more at the time that we are supposed to spend less. And when somebody was telling me that when people retire, they pay pension. Pension is now what? Pension is what? It's your money that you, after you leave work, you go and chop. So the government is not paying you anything. Yeah. So the argument is, and as I said, my colleagues agree with me that we should actually take a look at holistically at why is the recurrent expenditure expanding. Somebody, because he didn't know, among my colleagues, said, no, it's the debt service. I said, no, I'm not talking about the debt service. The current expenditure is 8.2 trillion. While debt service is 6.6. It's a different one. I'm not adding it up. In fact, what I'm even wondering is that this recurrent expenditure, that is non-debt, it's not inclusive of the personnel cost, which is about 4.2 trillion. Why should we be paying 4 trillion when the workers are going down? They are not doing promotion. No new, workers are not employed. So, well, that was my own take on the budget. And I finally, because I'm in charge of the army, and look at the funniest thing. We are in a war situation everywhere. We are saying that the challenge of insecurity should be addressed, which is very more important. But guess what? The capital budget of the Nigerian Army again is only 32 billion. Are we serious?
No.
If we are not safe, how can we spend it? You can see what is going on around. But as I accused you people last time, let me do it again. You people should be looking at this budget critically. Like now, when you say you are spending so much on the army, is there any amount that is too much for you to be secure? I don't think so. But the most important thing, as I said, you could see now that the improved funding of the Nigerian army is yielding results, isn't it? You could see some improvement. And then why don't you secure the country first? So I already brought it to the attention of my colleagues that the capital budget of the Nigerian army is still grossly inadequate. Comparing with what they need in order to execute or to bring this issue of escalating insecurity. Finally, I hope you will appreciate the Nigerian army now, at least for improving on the security situation. The Nigerian press is known of always being interested in negative stories. When the positive one is there, when somebody dies, you say, somebody died. But when they burn somebody, you say they burn new person. How many people who are born today? Only God knows. Any question?
Yeah. How many of us are interested in asking questions? Are you still interested?
No, I wanted to answer.
I think I've answered questions.
No questions.
No questions.
In that order, please. After the two question close.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
We both distinguish our leaders, sir.
Yes.
Kindly permit me to sit down because I may be covering the camera. Sir, we are talking about high recurrent expenditure going up every year.
High recurrent expenditure.
Yes, rising every year. So, but the resources to actually fund the budget is either being rooted